Hey there, my name is Mir, and I'm a photographer from Texas, and welcome to Photo Mode Perspective, where we look at photo modes in video games, but through the eyes of a photographer. And in this video, we'll be looking at Ghost of Tsushima running on a PS5. So let's begin, shall we? So if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, don't worry, I'm very early in the game, so you don't have to worry about spoilers or anything. But the most apparent thing, if you did play it on PS4, but haven't seen it on PS5 just yet, game runs at a locked 60 frames. The game is gorgeous and very fluid. So let's get started. Okay, so to access the photo mode, you would have to press right on the D-pad. If you press right and nothing happens, go into your settings, go into the options, go into gameplay, and then it's right here. Photo mode, on or off. What is this? Photo mode archery? While aiming mode, okay, yeah, we'll turn that on too. Why not? Okay, let's just go through the different settings. So we have a tracking shot, focal length. Ooh, it's in millimeters. Okay, like a real camera. You got your roll, your depth of field, which is in f-stops. Cool, just like a real camera. Focus distance, your color grading. Okay, color grading intensity, your exposure bias, so your exposure compensation. Your contrast, particles, cool, particle intensity, wind speed, okay, that's cool, wind direction, clouds, time of day, weather, animated environments, gin, whether or not, you want him there, muddy or bloody. His emotion, okay, his headpiece, sword glint, so it showing the sparkle. We'll pull the sword out in just a second. Let's take a look at this. Aspect ratio, cool, so it's like cinematic crop bars. Got your stamps, and you got music. So we'll start with the tracking shot. Let's try this. Let's just zoom in. Nice. That's cool. I like that. Alright, next up, your focal length, which is in millimeters. If you saw my Spider-Man Miles Morales video, I was saying that in there they have a field of view slider, but none of the field of view was marked in millimeters, which is what camera lenses are marked as. So this one we can go all the way up to 12 millimeters, so that's your wide angle, and then you can go all the way into 300 millimeters, and that's your telephoto. So with a wide angle, if you get, let's say we zoom in and we get a little close to Jin, if you look at the tree is, further away, so it's distorted where it looks like the tree is further away than it actually is. Now if we move back and then go into the telephoto side of things, so if we do, let's do one, let's just say, yeah, 203 millimeters, and move back a little further if we can, probably not. You can see here the tree trunk is being compressed, so that's your compression. So like here's the tree, here's Jin, and it's being compressed. So just like in Spider-Man Miles Morales, you have your distortion and your compression, which is really cool because this is what actual lenses do. So with your telephotos, you have your compression, so your subject and your background are compressed, so they look like they're right next to each other, and then your wide angle, it's distorted, so it looks further away. So your subject and then your background further away. The depth of field, which is marked by f-stops, which is fantastic. I've never seen a lens that's marked at 425 before. I think the largest one I've seen is f22, at least on the lenses that I have. Let's go to f2. Let's do that. Most of the lenses I have, they open up to f2. That looks pretty good. Your focus distance. So how much of it do you want in focus? You can see it on the grass at the bottom there. You can see like a slice of focus. And when you're moving the slider, you can see what's actually in focus. So right now we have the tree in focus, but Jin is not. And if you go the opposite direction, then Jin should be in focus, but the tree isn't. So like an actual lens, so the depth of field is controlled by your aperture. So the smaller the number, the blades inside the lens is more wide open. The higher the number, the more it's closed. So depth of field, if you look at f2, this is like what you would see in an actual lens where the subject is in focus, but the background is completely blurry. And I'm sure we can make it go even blurrier if we go to f1.4. But what I really like that this is showcasing, let me move this. Let me show you in a different way. Let's use this grass as an example. So we'll use this field as an example. So the depth of field, so we'll say right there. These up at the front, those are all in focus, right? But if you look at the background, that's not. That's all blurred out. The smaller the f-stop, the smaller area of focus you have. And what I like about this game is that it actually shows that off. So if you go here into the focus distance, if you go to like f2, right? Focus distance, what will happen is that you'll have this slice of focus area and you'll see it move across the screen depending on where you move the slider. So if I go this way, now that the area up at the front isn't in focus anymore, but the ones in that field in the back, now that's in focus. And you can keep going. So if we move it back, you can see the focus coming back to the front here. Another thing I absolutely love about this that actually shows off real lenses is if you go to let's say we have this area up at the front in focus, everything else is blurred out in the back. On an actual lens, if you change the f-stop to a higher number, that means the blades inside of the lens is closing up, which when it starts closing up, then you have more a focus area. So here, if I do that, if I go from f2 to, let's say f11, you can see more of the field is in focus. So not only is the front in focus, but also some of the field in the back is also in focus. And then if we go the other way, you can see now that little slice is closing up. It's a really cool effect because if you mess with cameras, that's exactly what you're going to see. Okay, so let's frame up Jin. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on my overlay. So these lines, these are the rule of thirds. They're not actual rules. You can break them at any time. They're more guidelines, but we're going to use it to frame up this shot. So this, I kind of want to do something like that. Okay, focus distance, and we're gonna move that back where Jin is in focus. Now the weird thing is, because it's at an angle, and because I have it at f2, his head can get in focus, but his back won't. So I'm gonna stop it down to, let's say, f5.6. Try that again. Okay, that looks better. That looks pretty cool. So focal length, let's go a little wider. Let's go to 35 millimeters. And then we're gonna move that over. and we're gonna do that. Okay, that looks cool. So color grading, let's check this out. Vivid, black and white vintage. So there's two, ooh, that looks really cool. There's two ways to look at these, the color grading. These could be similar to Instagram filters, but I would say this is more like color profiles. I can actually show you. Let me, so here's the little software I have for my camera. I have a Fujifilm X-T2, and right here they have these film simulations, right? Most cameras will have different profiles. So they'll say like this is your vivid profile, this is your sepia, this is your monochrome, black and white, and so on. With Fujifilm, how they name it is film simulations, which they simulate film. So if I go in here and let's say I change this to Velvia, notice all the colors on me now. It's a little bit more vibrant. So if I change it to something like classic chrome, it's a bit more muted, more of like a vintage look. And then my favorite is this one, Acros, which has a very pleasing black and white look. Looks pretty good. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back to the standard profile. So those film simulations on my camera is similar to color profiles on other cameras. So if you have a Canon, if you have a Nikon, or even in phones, like you'll have different settings where you can change the look of it. Vivid, I don't want the vivid. Black and white looks cool, but I don't think it works for this image. Storm looks pretty good actually, because it is storming. Samurai red is cool, it's a little too much right now. Maple. I think we're gonna go with storm. Color grading intensity, which is great. You can adjust how much you want in there. So we'll just do like 70%. That doesn't look too bad. Exposure bias. So this would be like your exposure compensation. So do you want it to be brighter? Do you want it to be darker? I want it to be a little brighter. Give it like a nice, give it a nice glow. Your contrast. So this would be, you can, I guess the word for this would be, you can give your image like a crunchy look. Contrast looks cool in certain circumstances. Like for this game, I think it would look cool if you bump up the contrast. Because here, if you look at all the colors and everything, it looks a little muted. But that could be the filter, that storm filter, or the storm color grading that I have on there. But you know, add a little contrast and just kind of give it more of a mood, where it's really separating the highlights and the shadows. Okay, so now you have particle effects. Dang, that's really cool. I like this. Yellow leaves. So you have all these different particles you can use to add to the image. Just the other day I took pictures of someone and I had them grab a handful of leaves and just throw it up in the air, just to try to get something similar to this. That looks really cool, especially with the tree back there. This kind of makes sense. But what I want to do, because this game is set in Japan, is cherry blossoms. Obviously, you have to do cherry blossoms. Yes, that looks good. Particle intensity, we're going to keep it at 100. Wind speed, and you can fine tune everything in this game. This is ridiculous. Wind direction, you can change where the wind is coming from. That's cool. Clouds, let's see, can we bring down some of the clouds? Oh, cool. They're moving back there. I wish you could do that in real life. Sometimes where you're taking pictures in direct sunlight, you're just like, man, I wish I had some clouds to soften up the light a little bit. That'd be nice. We'll do, ooh, that looks cool. We'll do, man, you can really get some cool images in this. We'll do this where we get like a ray of light coming through the clouds. Something like that. Very moody. Time of day. Okay, so you can change the lighting. We're gonna keep it at this dark time of day. Current weather, clear, fog, heavy. Ooh, okay. I'll go with heavy fog. I like the rays of light. Thunder's cool too. I'll go with heavy fog. Animated environment, yep, we're gonna keep that on. Jin, do we want him here? Yes, and let's see. Muddy, bloody, no, let's keep this clean. Keep it none. Emotions, we can't see his face, but that's cool that you can change his emotion. When you're taking pictures of someone, you may have to take multiple pictures at one time. So if you have some sort of burst mode on your camera, then I would suggest using that. Get like 3 or 4 pictures, because someone's emotion can change very quickly when you're taking a picture. So sometimes you'll get that one, like you'll take one image and you'll think, man, this looks cool, and then you look and then their eyes are half closed or they're not smiling enough and things like that. So when you're taking pictures of someone, make sure you take a few images just so you can capture their emotion. So your helmet, mask, on or off. He's got this headband on. We're gonna keep that on. Sword glint. That would be okay. So like if I was swinging the sword, it would add a little light to it. Aspect ratio. Let's get this looking like a movie. Yeah, that looks cool. Stamp. These are really stylish. I like these. What I wish they had in this is what they had in Spider-Man Miles Morales, where you can change where you can add individual stickers and then really customize it. It's not that big of a deal if they don't have it, but this is still cool otherwise. I do like the way that looks. I think what I want to do is get more of this in focus. So you know what, I think I want to finish tweaking this image because this looks really cool. So yeah, let's see what I can come up with. Yeah, you know, I actually am a big fan of this one. I like very scenic pictures. So this one, he's bowing down into the tree with the moon shining down in heavy fog with cherry blossoms. It's a very emotional scene. I like it. So let's try something else. Let's get out of photo mode and let's see if we can do something with either combat or just the sword. So let's see if we can try something else. Let's try it in combat. This never gets old, the standoff. Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. I haven't played this in a while. Yo. What? Oh, that was trash. Let's try that again. He's slicing his back open. You know, some days after a long day at work and your back's hurting, sometimes it just needs to be sliced open. Only way to relieve the pressure. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn on this overlay, and let's see what we can make of this. I like how Jin and the guy he's slicing open can be used to frame the guy in the back. That's great. Okay, that looks cool. Let's make this a little brighter. Not too bright though. So color grading, let's see. You know, I kind of like this black and white vintage one. So since the colors have been removed, you can focus more on what's actually happening in the scene. Not every image will complement black and white, but it's always good to experiment and see what happens. This, I mean, I kind of like it in black and white. The color just wasn't working for me. So this one, I think what would help is we bring up this exposure and bring up this contrast. I think a contrast look on this would look good. You know what? I think that looks pretty good. So with black and white images, they tend to complement contrasty looks. So with this one, for example, if I bump up the contrast, that still looks good. But if it was still in color, the color would just bleed everywhere and it wouldn't look good. But because this is in black and white, contrast, I think, favors it. So particles, let's see, let's add a animated environment. Oh yes, that looked cool. So let's see if we change the weather. No. I like the thunder one because Jin and the guy he's slicing open, they're a little bit brighter. So yeah, the thunder looks pretty cool. Current emotion, okay. He's angry, confused. Confused, like why did I slice his back open? Dead. Just like me, dead on the inside. Except I don't show it. Disbelief. Disgusted. It's like, oh no, there's a lot of blood everywhere. Happy. Oh no. Raged, intense. Okay. There's a time and place for such things, and I don't think this is the time nor the place for this. Jen, if you can stop doing the kissing face, that'd be great. Surprise. You can have so much fun in this. He's so surprised. It's just like, why? And it's like, oh no, I just sliced this dude's back. But what have I done? Whatever have I done? I love it. You know, I think I'm gonna keep it on the current emotion. Alright, so the sword glints. Let's see. Yeah, so it brightens up the sword. We'll do it around here, just so we can see what is messing up this guy's back. Stamp. See, this is how you sell a game. Yeah. It's like, so if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet, it's like, what is it? Just show them this. It's like you slice a dude open, it looks cool, there's a lot of blood. This is the game, basically. I think what I want to do now is something like more of like an action shot. So let's see. Let's call my horse, which you're given a choice at the beginning of the game what you want to name your horse, and Sora was one of them. So me being a Kingdom Hearts fan, obviously I went for Sora. You know what? I think I'm going to use this tree. So let's do this. Let's head back. Do that. Okay. I I like the way that's framed. That looks pretty good. It just blows my mind that this game in the photo mode just allows you to increase the amount of particles on the screen, and it doesn't take a performance hit at all. It's crazy. And then once you exit out of it, it's just particles are gone. So is the photo mode in this game any good? Yes, the photo mode is actually pretty amazing. The focal length in here is marked by millimeters, which is what you would see on an actual camera, and then on top of that it has the distortion, which you see those row of trees back there. They're pretty far away from Jin, but then if I move back and change it to like a telephoto, then now the trees are right there, so that's your compression. So not only is the focal length in millimeters, it also shows off your distortion and your compression. And then with your depth of field, it's marked by f-stops, which is your aperture in a camera. And again, it does what an aperture should. So if I bring it to, let's say like f2 or something, then, you know, right there, Jin's in focus, but the background isn't. And if you change the focus distance, you can see that there's like a little slice of focus that's moving across the image, which is what you would see with aperture. With your depth of field, you only have a little bit to work with a smaller number aperture, but then if you go the other way, if you stop down, then you have more in focus. So on top of those technical features, there's also the particles, which really add to the atmosphere of the game. So, you know, something like Ash and Embers, you know, like it looks really good. I don't know many games that give you this much fine-tuning in a photo mode. It's just, there's so much in here, and you can have a lot of fun with this. It's like just that. I wasn't even trying to take a photo here, but look at that, just that alone, it looks really good. You can absolutely practice your photography in this game. So if you don't have a camera, or if you're saving up for a camera, then this would be a good way to just practice and just have a little fun with it. And at the end of the day, that's what you want to do with photography, just have fun with it. Now if you're working with someone, obviously just kind of go by what they're saying and respect the decision of whoever's paying you, but you know, you can have fun with it. And yeah, there's just so much in here that you can change, you can fine tune to achieve a cool look in this game. And as you've probably seen throughout this video, there was a couple moments in here where they just have different looks, whether you're going for like a extremely moody look, whether you're going for an action-based look, or something like this where it's just nice and calm. You can go in any direction and you'll still find a good way to take nice images in this game. So I've left a link down below where you can actually buy me a coffee, and what that'll do is it'll help me buy more games, and just so I can look at photo modes and other games as well. There's some games that I have in mind and some games that I have lined up as well, but if you have any suggestions, let me know down below what you think. If you're wondering what systems I do have, I have a PS5, a PS4, which I'm using my PS5 for, a Switch, and a PC with Game Pass. So if you have any recommendations on any of those, let me know, and I'll take a look at those games. So this has been another episode of Photo Mode Perspective, so hope you enjoyed it. So I'll see you guys next time.